Vulnerability, by definition, means being exposed, open to the possibility of harm, or susceptible to being hurt. But in reality, it is so much more than that. Vulnerability is a fundamental aspect of our humanity, a powerful doorway to authenticity, growth, connection, and ultimately, transformation. We live in a world that often equates strength with invulnerability, resilience with stoicism, and power with control. But real strength, real resilience, and real power come from embracing our vulnerability, from daring to show up as we truly are, in spite of, and sometimes because of, our imperfections. When we think about vulnerability, many of us may feel a sense of hesitation or even fear. We worry that if we let others see our weaknesses or imperfections, we will be judged, rejected, or even ridiculed. We worry that if we share our struggles, people will perceive us as less than, or incapable. And yet, paradoxically, it is in our vulnerability that we are most relatable, most real, and most impactful. Vulnerability is not a weakness to be hidden, it is a strength to be embraced. And today, I want to encourage you to consider vulnerability as not just an option, but as a necessity for your own growth and success. Imagine the most impactful moments of your life, those moments that shaped who you are, that shifted your perspective, that led you to a greater understanding of yourself and others. Were those moments defined by comfort and ease, or were they often moments of struggle, challenge, and yes, vulnerability? Vulnerability has this remarkable ability to strip away the facades we wear, to bring us face to face with our true selves, and to open the door for change and connection in ways that nothing else can. The problem is, we often misunderstand vulnerability. We tend to equate vulnerability with weakness, with an admission of inadequacy, or with some sort of flaw in our character. But the truth is, vulnerability is the courage to be open. It is the courage to say, this is who I am, with all my strengths and weaknesses, my victories and my scars. It is a willingness to show up as our authentic selves and trust that we are enough, just as we are. The great social researcher Brené Brown famously said, vulnerability sounds like truth and feels like courage. Truth and courage aren't always comfortable, but they're never weakness. And she's right. It takes immense strength to be vulnerable. It takes courage to admit that we don't have all the answers, that we're still learning, still growing, and still finding our way. Vulnerability doesn't mean that we wear our hearts on our sleeves without discernment. It doesn't mean that we share every intimate detail of our lives with everyone around us. Rather, vulnerability is about allowing ourselves to be seen and known, to share our stories and experiences in ways that foster real connection. It's about stepping beyond our comfort zones and being willing to risk rejection, failure, and even hurt. This is the paradox of vulnerability. By embracing our fears and insecurities, we actually find a deeper, more resilient form of strength. Think about the people in your life who have inspired you the most. Chances are, they are individuals who are unafraid to show you their full, imperfect humanity. When someone stands before you and shares their struggles, their failures, and their setbacks, do you see them as weak or courageous? I would bet that you see them as incredibly brave. Vulnerability humanizes us. It makes us relatable, and it opens the door for empathy. When we allow others to see our true selves, we also invite them to be their true selves. Vulnerability is a gift we give to others, just as much as it is a gift we give to ourselves. In the workplace, vulnerability can have transformative effects. It can help us build stronger teams, create more collaborative environments, and foster a culture of trust. When leaders are willing to admit their mistakes, acknowledge their own learning curves, and openly seek input from others, they create an environment where innovation can thrive. They show their team members that it is okay to take risks, to learn from failures, and to continue evolving. Vulnerability at work isn't about oversharing, it's about showing that you are a real person, just like everyone else, and that you value transparency and trust. When employees see this, they feel safe to contribute, to take risks, and to be authentic in return. Think about the alternative. When we hide behind walls of invulnerability, when we pretend to have it all together, we create a distance between ourselves and others. We create a culture where people feel they have to hide their mistakes or struggles, where they are afraid to ask for help, and where they might even avoid taking risks for fear of failure. Invulnerability creates isolation, whereas vulnerability creates community. In our personal lives, vulnerability is equally transformative. True connection, whether with family, friends, or romantic partners, requires us to let down our guard and allow ourselves to be seen. When we hide behind masks of perfection, we deprive ourselves of the opportunity for genuine, meaningful relationships. But when we are honest about our struggles, our dreams, and even our fears, we invite others to connect with us on a deeper level. We create relationships built on trust, empathy, and compassion. But perhaps the most important reason to embrace vulnerability is the impact it has on our own personal growth. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we open ourselves to new possibilities. We become more resilient because we learn that we can survive hardship, that we can face our fears and come out stronger. We become more confident because we know that our worth is not defined by perfection, but by our willingness to show up authentically. And we become more at peace because we no longer have to maintain the exhausting facade of invulnerability. There will always be risks associated with vulnerability. There will be moments when we are misunderstood or when we experience setbacks. But these experiences only make us stronger. They teach us valuable lessons about ourselves and about others. They help us grow in ways that would not be possible if we always played it safe. Vulnerability isn't a one-time choice, it's a practice, a way of living that we commit to each and every day. It's a journey that requires patience, compassion, and courage. So, let me ask you, what would it look like if you allowed yourself to be vulnerable? What doors would open if you let go of the need for perfection and instead embraced the beauty of your true self? What connections could you forge if you allowed others to see the real you, with all your dreams, fears, and aspirations? Embracing vulnerability doesn't mean we abandon our boundaries or lose our sense of self. Rather, it means we cultivate the courage to be seen as we truly are and to see others in return. Vulnerability, at its core, is about choosing to live with an open heart. It is about recognizing that our shared humanity is built on the same hopes, dreams, struggles, and triumphs. And when we live from this place of openness, we not only transform our own lives, but we also become a source of inspiration and strength for others. So, as you go forward from here, I challenge each of you to embrace your vulnerability. Show up as you are, with all your strengths and all your scars. Be willing to share your story, to ask for help when you need it, and to allow others to see the real you. Remember that vulnerability is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of courage, a testament to your resilience, and an invitation to a life of deeper, more meaningful connection.